Build your soil. I studied soil science at Cal Poly for 5 years, and that's one thing I learned. It's one thing I'm passionate about. And how does it smell? Get on inside that thing. Look for brown or yellowing needles. Soil is where it all begins in the garden. Hello, Steve McShane from McShane's Nursery. Did you know that herbs are one of the longest cultivated plants on the planet for human consumption? That's right, thousands of years. Herbs are fantastic. In this segment, we're going to talk more about edible gardening, fruit trees, vegetables, and herbs. Let's start with the herbs right away. Some key things that I could say about growing great herbs. Build your soil. I studied soil science at Cal Poly for 5 years, and that's one thing I learned. It's one thing I'm passionate about. Get a good soil builder, like this Gold Rush right here, that's got a good balance of chicken manure, organic compost, well blended, well composted. Once you get that in your soil, a few additives would help as well. This alfalfa meal is a great source of organic nitrogen that does a lot for soil microbiology. As well, kelp meal, the same type of idea. If you feed your soil will feed your plant. Once you get these in the ground, a good starter fertilizer is an idea as well. I always like to recommend the granular type, though you can also use sachets that can be thrown into the soil, like these. Once you get your soil built and ready for action, then you're ready to plant. Now remember, herbs and vegetables require full sun. That's 6 to 8 hours minimum a day. In addition to that, I always like to tell people to consider planting the two side by side. Get the herbs right next to your leafy greens, your tomatoes, or whatever else. What'll end up happening is the herbs can drive away pests and also things like dogs, deer, and you name it. That kind of coexistence really works well for your garden. Make sure you balance properly and you invest in the soil, and the garden will take care of itself after that. The last thing I'd say is that don't forget to feed. Vegetables and herbs prefer feeding every 4 to 6 weeks during the growing season. Feed in small amounts over a longer period and you'll see the results. Now let's talk about the excitement of growing your own fruit. I'd first like to focus on berries. Berries have gotten a lot of press lately because of the benefits of antioxidants and just the fact that they're packed with healthy nutrients. Berries just can't be topped. I'll start with raspberries, and then let's touch base on blueberries. First and foremost, the key's in the soil and getting them started. Remember, a hole 2 or 3 times the size of the container they came in, a good starter fertilizer, B1, and using a good planting mix that's well balanced. One important thing about blueberries here, when you get your blueberry plant, be sure to use an acid-loving planting mix. Really, really, really important. And more than anything, consider dead, decaying, decomposing organic matter. You can see the drainage. There's bark in here. There's even lava rock. Blueberries like a lot of drainage. Beyond growing berries, I think it's important to focus on fruit trees for a second. One of the things I always tell people is to seek a tree that's got multiple varieties grafted onto the same tree. This peach here, for example, has 4 different varieties on it. There's an early season, a mid-season, a late season, and a very late season. By allowing 4 different varieties on one tree, there's better cross-pollination, better fruit set, and ultimately, you're not bombarded with a bunch of fruit all at once. Now it's time to reap the rewards of an edible gardening expert. Nothing like some great cheese, some fresh herbs out of my garden, some crackers, and some locally produced white wine. Cheers, here's to the success. Let's get gardening.